Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone, welcome to Eclipse Week. We are going to be talking about September 15th through September 21st. The eclipse is actually happening on the 17th, but this energy is all week and expect to be feeling it even a couple of weeks after the event. We could even be feeling it longer than that, but for at least a couple of weeks after the event. All right, let's get into it. So first off, let's talk about what an eclipse even is, astrologically speaking. I know we know what an eclipse is, but this is a time of a life reset. This is fated change coming into our lives, right? And yeah, where eclipses go, it's like getting a shove toward our destiny. It's always about change. And it's about changing in a way that helps us really get onto our path. An eclipse occurs when the sun and moon are in a close relationship to the lunar nodes. That's what makes an eclipse. So the lunar nodes, as you all know, if you listen to me ever, that is our path of destiny, right? That's the karma we come into this world with, and it is our kind of goal for where to get in this lifetime. That's our natal nodes, right, in our birth chart. And then the transiting nodes go through our houses, and they give us the opportunity to grow in those areas of life to help us level up and continue moving along toward our destiny. Think of the nodes transiting as kind of like we are kind of walking a spiral staircase. So we're going around and around the different areas of life, but each time leveling up, leveling up. So that's what an eclipse is all about, right? This eclipse is special, and it's special in a lot of different ways. I hope I can be clear on all of this. I apologize if I get confusing. I'm going to try to break this down. It's just that there's so much, and I'm so excited. This eclipse is going to be in Pisces. We've been having our eclipses on the Aries-Libra axis. So that big old giant eclipse last spring and all of that, that's on that Aries-Libra axis. This eclipse is the first one on the Pisces-Virgo axis. So this is a different thing. It's moved into a different set of houses in our charts. This is a preview eclipse. We still have one more in October that's going to finish off that Aries-Libra thing we've been going through. So this one is a preview of what's to come in 2025 and 2020, part of 2026. So really look at this as kind of like a hint about where you're going to be feeling that change and growth from the nodal energy, the eclipse energy. That lasts about 18 months. This is a preview of that following 2025 phase. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Let me know. Reach out, contact me if it doesn't, and I will try to explain. The other thing that's interesting to know about this eclipse, it's a partial lunar eclipse. And so that means it's going to be a little gentler. It's not going to come in and cosmically smack us in the head the way a total eclipse would do. The other thing is this is an out of sign eclipse. So the moon will be in Pisces, the sun will be opposite in Virgo. That's the full moon, all right? But the nodes are still going to be in Aries and Libra, where the past eclipse cycle has been, right? So they're not in the same signs together, which is unusual. And it might feel a little quirky in some ways. I don't mean that bad. I'm not trying to prep you for something, I'm not using code language for this is going to really blow. I just mean it could feel quirky. because it's more subtle, be prepared to really just get hints of what's to come, hints of the kinds of changes you're going to be making starting in 2025. Okay, don't expect big, bold statements. I hope all of that makes sense, but this is still really good. We're going to have this configuration that's called a kite. And I will get into that and explain what that means. But it's very, very good. It's a very auspicious aspect. If you want to look at it, I actually posted the graphic for it on my Substack. So this is not just a promo for my Substack. If you want to see the kite configuration so you can get more of a sense of it, my Substack is totally free. Just go on over there. It's Pisces Moon. You can read the article if you want, but at least go look at the chart if that's helpful for you. All right, let's first talk about Pisces. It's the ocean, it's the amniotic fluids, it's that pre-incarnation space of all possibility. For this reason, Pisces is known to dissolve boundaries. And also, in the sense of that pre-incarnation, it's spirituality, it's creativity, it's union with others, but like a deep soul bond union. It's a super beautiful sign, and it just has so much to do with our essence. That part of us that's deep and watery, emotional, but not in that, like crybaby, oh, you're so emotional kind of way, but just that deep emotional truth. All right. So Pisces can be really, really beautiful space to play in. The cool thing about this eclipse is it's a North Node eclipse. So the North Node is about growth and expansion. It's what we bring into our lives. So even though this is happening on a full moon, and I know a lot of people think of full moons as times of culminations and letting go, that's not the case during this eclipse. This is really about growth in some way. If you're letting go at all, and I'm not seeing that in this eclipse slash full moon, but if you are, the growth is going to be immediate because it's really about growth, not about letting go. And how will we grow in those Pisces kinds of areas of life, right? So creatively, spiritually, in connection with other people. And then you want to add your house. So you look at your natal chart. Where is Pisces? What house is it in? And look at the topics of that house and see, how do these Piscean oceanic themes relate, or how do they function in the house that your Pisces is in? All right, that's everything. If you don't know what house your Pisces is in, you can get a free birth chart online, and a lot of places just Google free birth chart. And if you want to look at the house meanings, that's also online. You could go to my Instagram, which is Pisces Moon _astrology. And I actually posted a couple of things that walk you through the houses, if that's helpful for you. The other thing that I will just throw out there really quickly that's super good during any kind of big Pisces event like this is psychic development. So I know that falls in spirituality for a lot of people, but specifically if you're looking for growth in the area of your empathic or psychic abilities, this is a really, really good time to kind of download that kind of information and skill. So it's a super good time. I hope it's already sounding good. But then it gets so much more interesting because, like I said, it's going to make a kite. So I want you to picture an old school kite. The spine of the kite is, of course, the full moon. So that's the sun moon opposition. That's what every full moon is. That's really the backbone of the kite. What does that mean? We've got the moon in Pisces. That is as deeply feeling, empathic, spiritual, creative, deep as you can get. There's a reason why my podcast is Pisces Moon, right? It's all that stuff, all that magical, psychic kind of stuff, right? So that's the Pisces Moon. It is opposite the Virgo Sun. It's about attention to detail, being of service, planning, that very earthy kind of energy, where Pisces is in that no detail, right? But feeling and exploring and liquid kind of space. We think about the moon, the parts of us that are the most authentic. Think about it, your own body, your instincts, those things that you're just kind of born with, right? On the other end, we've got the sun, and that is our soul's expression in the world. That's where we shine. That's that stuff that we show to others and where we get recognition. So it's really kind of an interesting dynamic that happens when we have the full moon, because what we're being asked to do is bring those into alignment and balance those. How do I bring that inner intrinsic part of me into alignment with who I am out in the world? How do I project out there my inner truth? That's what full moons are about. And that's what full moon eclipses are going to help us do, right? They're going to give us that shove that helps us put all of this together. Does that make sense? Now I want you to picture the bottom end of the kite. That place, where you tie the little tail onto or whatever. I haven't flown a kite in a long time. But the big triangle down at the bottom, that's actually a grand trine, which is the most positive shape that planets really make. It is hooking together the sun in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus, and Pluto in Capricorn. Oh my gosh. All right. So the sun, I've already talked about it. That's how we show up in the world. That's our public persona. Yes, that's what that is. Pluto is about deep transformation, and Uranus is about breaking free and unexpected change. So, can we get a wow on that? This week, we have the opportunity to break out, that's Uranus, break out of limiting beliefs and transform ourselves in such a way that we sort of shine out in the world in a new, deeply authentic way, because Pluto is about deep inner transformation. So by going through this deep transformation, we burst out of old molds and become this new, improved public version of ourselves, right? I think that is very cool. I don't know about you, but I am so excited. Then on the other end of the kite, the top part, we get that smaller triangle. That is connecting the moon, connecting to Uranus and Pluto. So in the same way that we're having that deep transformation that's going to impact that outer sense of ourselves, we are going to be going through that same kind of transformation in the more oceanic parts of ourselves. So, breakthroughs in creativity, breakthroughs in spirituality, breakthroughs in the relationships that involve those soul connections and soul bonds, becoming more able to express those authentic, more inner, deeper parts of ourselves. Because these two triangles, that outer transformation, inner transformation triangle, they're connected. This is one kite, not two triangles. Does that make sense? Even though I just described them as two triangles, but you get what I mean, right? This transformation is going to be all encompassing. I guess that's the way to look at it. Okay, there's one other thing. I mean, like always, you guys, you know what? There are a million other things going on in the sky right now, but we can't get into all of them. And this is really the most important event this week. So I think we can let the others go for a second. But I do want to mention that the moon is going to be smack between, and I mean tightly between Saturn and Neptune. Saturn rules boundaries and hard work and limitations. Neptune rules no boundaries and going with the flow. We've got earthy Saturn, he rules Capricorn, right? Like climbing mountains. He rules Aquarius also, which is completely not like that. But anyway, Saturn is really about working hard, building foundations, very, very opposite Pisces in a way. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. He's the ocean. So he's no boundaries. There are no boundaries under the ocean, right? No walls. He's more about going with the flow than he is about like, let's work hard and build a structure. Okay. So the moon is going to be smack in between these two. This is going to be interesting energy, and I think it's going to show up very, very differently for all of us, depending on our houses. And also remember, if you have planets, natal planets in Pisces, these planets are going to be speaking to your planets. Does that make sense? That's why when we do these general readings, we can only get so accurate. Some of us have no planets in Pisces. Some of us have many planets in Pisces, right? And those planets add to the energy as well, and they'll change how we experience these events, these astral events. So, this is such a weird combo, the moon smack between Saturn and Neptune, that I really think it's going to be chart dependent. But what I know we'll all be grappling with in some way, how do we walk the line between this sense of having boundaries, creating structure, working really hard, and also going with the flow and being a little bit more open about things? Just like the Pisces-Virgo axis, that's kind of what it's about, right? Pisces water, Virgo earth. Finding balance is going to be a big theme, and balance between specifically the water, the flow, and the earth, the structure. That's what 2025 and into 2026, these eclipses are going to be about to some extent. So I hope that makes sense. As they say, may you live in interesting times. The moon being between these two planets is very interesting. One of the things that I do think is going to come up for everybody in some way, and it's part of this blending these two opposing or seemingly opposite energies, is I think we're going to learn to set boundaries to protect the time and energy we want to dedicate to our art, our spirituality, our deep connections to other people. So I don't mean just the friends that were like, hey, let's have lunch or coffee or whatever. I mean, with those people in our lives that are truly our people, right? I think it's going to be creating structures that allow us to expand in those Piscean areas. So, artist friends out there, and by that I mean anybody creative in any way, dancing, music, writing, painting, poetry, um, even art that isn't, the creative spirit. So it doesn't have to be specifically like something we would define as an art. Maybe you're very creative when you cook for your family. Okay, so I just mean creativity. And again, spirituality, however you define that. It's a really beautiful way that these two, like I said, seemingly opposing energies might come together. As I said, this eclipse isn't going to beat you in the head. You're going to have to pay attention, and it's worth paying attention this week because it is a preview of coming attractions. What you're going to kind of get a sense of this week is going to unfold in 2025 and into 2026. The other thing I want you to keep in mind, the last time we had this eclipse was in 2006, 2007. So if you want more of a sense of what's going to be happening during this whole eclipse series that starts next year, think back to 2006, 2007. What were you doing? How did your life change? Specifically that, because eclipses are about change always. You're not going to go through the same thing. So if it was terrible, do not freak out. Please do not freak out. You are not going to go through the same thing. First off, all the other planets are in different places. Okay, so it's not the same sky. It's just the same eclipse. Also, remember that image I talked about earlier, which is that spiral staircase. You come around to the same place, but you're a level up. So if that period was bad for you and the changes you went through were difficult, don't freak. It may not be like that, but there will be something thematically similar. I can't say what that will be for any of us. Well, I can say for me, but I can't say for the rest of you. Um, but think back, if you can remember at all kind of the gist of what you were doing, and especially if you look at your Pisces house in your chart, that'll give you an idea. So like, let's say it's in my fourth house of home. If in 2006 I moved, it's possible I'll be moving next year, right? So it will be for different reasons. It'll go differently, all of that, but it will be growth through moving. So kind of look and see, where is it in your chart? Think back to 2006 and go, what was going on? And that's going to give you a big insight into what is coming. So again, this is going to be gentler than a typical eclipse. Pay attention this week. And it's going to start ahead of that. So even now, you may already be getting little hints about it. In fact, I know a lot of you are, because I've been working with clients all week who are already in the eclipse energy. But for sure, it's going to go on for a couple of weeks after that. You're still going to be feeling it. So that's pretty much what I've got for this. I think it's amazing. I sort of love that we get this gentler hint at what's to come so that we can all be kind of prepping for what it's going to look like. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please share the podcast. I've got a couple of guests that I would like to bring in and do interviews with, but I don't want to do that until there are enough subscribers that it kind of makes it worth their time and effort to come in here. So share, share, share. I'd be so grateful to you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. And until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. That's what I wish for you always. And I will talk to you next week, post eclipse. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Anyway, bye everyone.